This is the second chapter of the two-dimensional medium in art. It's painting. Good morning. Painting is the practice of applying paint, pigment, color, or other medium to a solid surface. The medium is commonly applied to the base with a brush, but other implements such as knives, sponges, and airbrushes can be used. The final work is also called a painting. And painting is an important form in the visual arts, bringing in elements such as drawing, gesture, composition, narration, or abstraction. And paintings can be neutralistic and representational, photographic, abstract, narrative, symbolic, emotive, or political in nature. In art, the term painting describes both the act and the result of the action. The support for paintings includes such surfaces as walls, paper, canvas, wood, glass, lacquer, pottery, leaf, copper, and concrete, and the painting may incorporate multiple other materials, including sand, clay, paper, plaster, gold leaf, as well as objects. Today we're gonna see four the most popular and the famous painting techniques. So the first one is fresco, and the next one is tempera. Third one is oil, and the last one is acrylic. So let's see one by one. So fresco. A fresco is above all a wall painting technique. And it has been used for large scale murals since ancient times. With fresco, pigments are mixed with water and applied to a plaster support, usually a wall or ceiling coated in plaster. True fresco is paint made simply of pigment and water applied to wet lime plaster. As the plaster dries, the lime undergoes a chemical transformation and acts as a binder, fusing the pigment with the plaster surface. So I'm gonna share a video to show the process of the fresco painting.
Employed for these compositional guides have a red earthy color called Sinopia. Sinopia was the name after the city. Until the Renaissance, preliminary design were merely sketched on the wall.
So the artist copied the sketch on the wall.
Later, a new method became common. Designs were traced by pouncing.
And then he's making holes to trace the sketch lines on the wall.
the great attention to the selection of the ingredients, lime, sand, pigments. The preparation of the mortar occurred in the previous days, and the ability to spread the plaster where and are decisive elements such as painting itself.
Yeah.
After having wet the wall to saturation, this last layer of mortar is laid on and painted before it is hardened, guaranteeing the properties of brightness and resistance typical of fresco. In particular, be careful not to leave air bubbles and maintain a constant flatness during work using wooden slats or wood float.
So he applied the lime wet plaster on the wall.
Actually, since the end of 14th century, this last layer composed of lime and sand.
So, by, covering all the sketches with the plaster, so he made a copy of the sketch, then he's gonna sketch on this plaster again.
Intonaco begins to be saturated with a further thin layer of mortar composed of lime and marble powder in equal proportion, called intonachino or velo. This guarantees greater smoothness and brightness of the bottom, thanks to the properties of calcium carbonate. At this point, according with the job.
Okay, so he started to sketch.
Subsequently, and throughout the Baroque period, this more precise but more laborious method was flanked and then replaced with indirect incision. The main lines of the drawing were pressed with the handle of the brush against the plaster through the paper, leaving the grooves rounded on the fresh mortar. The horizontal and vertical lines were instead incised directly with the handle of the brush on the fresh mortar, leaving, in this case, sharp edges, direct architectures. Immediately after the reconstruction of the composition with Verdaccio, we pass to give the shadow on the skin with a green earth, squeezing the brush with your fingers and redoing the whole volumes.
So true fresco requires to finish the painting before the plaster before the plaster dries. So that's why he just applied the wet plaster in a certain amount in certain areas of the the workspace. Then you're gonna just finish this first, and then you're gonna apply the plaster on the next sketch, and then you're gonna do continue to do the painting.
I have a question, Professor.
Yes, Rose.
So, why did you draw first on the wall before doing the plaster? Can't you just do the plaster first and then you do the drawing?
So, he sketched it on the wall like this first. So you're gonna find the composition of the work of art, and then you're gonna trace the sketch like this on the paper. And then where it is. And then you're gonna apply the plaster on the wall. And with the sketch, you're gonna trace you're gonna make a sketch on this plaster with by making a hole.
Yeah, but I think it did the O's before doing the plaster.
But this video shows kind of a mixing process, but the real process is when he did when he make this hole, he already applied the plaster before it wet and before it dries. So, he can make the hole like this, or, scratch on this plaster, and then he's going to resketch on it, following these holes. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So as you can see, the process is very complicated, and it takes so long to finish one piece of work. But once the painting plays in a wall, it lasts almost forever. That's why we can see 500 or 600 years old fresco painting today, and they are almost the same as the original. So that is the very important point for the fresco. So looks familiar with this painting, right? So this is one of the Renaissance master, Raphael's painting, the School of Athens. And it is a fresco, large wall painting in Vatican. See the creation year here, 1510. So since it is a fresco painting, we can still see this 500 years old painting today. In this fresco painting, nearly every great Greek philosopher is present, including the two main subjects, Plato and his student Aristotle, located at the fresco's central vanishing point. Some of the ancient philosophers resemble Raphael's contemporaries. And the next painting medium we are going to see is tempera. Tempera is an aqueous medium like a watercolor that dries to a tough, insoluble film. Its colors retain their brilliance and clarity for centuries. Technically, tempera is painting in which the vehicle is an emulsion, which is a stable mixture of an aqueous liquid with an oil, fat, wax, or resin. However, the most famous tempera's vehicle is egg yolk. And I'm gonna share a video to show how to use egg yolk as a vehicle in a traditional way.
High Renaissance, egg tempera was the principal way of making an image. If you were painting on a panel, it's the most archival painting medium. It lasts longer than watercolors, oil paints, anything. All you need is egg yolk, water, and powdered pigment. All paint starts with raw powdered pigment. The binder basically is a substance with adhesive properties that holds the paint together, and then when it's applied to a surface, the binder then dries and holds the paint on the surface of whatever it is, a panel or canvas or whatever it is that you're painting. The egg white, we don't use an egg yolk tempera. And then what I want to get into my jar is just the egg yolk. Feeling Julia Child there. Paul Cadmus, he said at this point, it's a fairly viscous, it's the pure egg yolk. He said he would mix in enough water so that it had the consistency of half and half. We can give it a good shake. Yeah, and that's about right. And that is it. That is the binder for egg tempera. When you mix the egg yolk binder in with the powdered pigment and mix it up, you've got your egg tempera. So this is the way I do it. I will bring a little bit of the dry pigment and I just dip my palette knife, get a little bit of egg yolk. And that's tempera.
So, the traditional artists, like, the old artists, they don't have the industrial paint, the tube like we use today. So they could make the color with the powder of powders color, and to stick the powders on their work surface, then they need a vehicle to stick the pigment on the artwork surface.
Easy as that. Egg temper goes on in thin strokes. It dries very quickly, within seconds. So you cannot mess around and model and blend the egg temper. All has to be, it's all hatch marks, one on top of the other. If you look carefully at it, you'll see all these strokes, stroke, 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 stroke. Each individual, they're not if any kind of illusion of soft transitions are because it's very carefully regulated, and by building up these multiple very thin strokes one on top of the other. With egg tempers, you can see this is very flat. It's a very fluid medium. If you tried to add a glob of egg tempera, it would dry and crack off, it would flake off. Everything has to be built in very delicate layers, and that's what gives George Tooker's paintings that almost opalescent, satiny quality. Because when you're looking at the surface of a tempera painting, and he's doing it very much in the classic Quattrocento style that he was taught, you're kind of staring through several layers until you're kind of staring into the paint surface. And to a certain extent, the white of the board underneath maybe 12 layers of paint is reflecting out through it. So it has this almost gauzy-like opalescence, which I think adds a certain almost surreal quality to whatever it is that you're painting, which appeals to me.
All right. So as you see, and egg yolk plays a role like a glue to stick the powder pigment on the artwork surface, and the tempera dries very quickly. So the colors cannot be blended easily once they are set down. Traditionally, tempera was sewed on a wood panel support prepared with a ground up gesso, a mixture of white pigment and glue that sealed the wood and could be sanded and rubbed to a smooth ivory-like finish. And the third painting medium we are going to see is oil. Oil paints consist of pigment pounded with oil. Historically, the most commonly used oils have been linseed oil, poppy seed oil, and walnut oil. And today, commercial manufacturers of artists' colors often grind the darker pigments with linseed oil, and the light pigments such as white and yellow with poppy seed oil or sunflower oil, which do not yellow over time as linseed oil tends to do. What all these oils have in common is they will dry at room temperature and leaving the pigment particles suspended in a transparent film. This is Johannes Vermeer's oil painting, Girl with a Pearl Earring in 1665. Johannes Vermeer was a Dutch Baroque period painter who specialized in domestic interior senses of middle-class life. And during his lifetime, he was moderately successful provincial genre painter. So as you can see, he has an excellent technique for the oil painting. There is a video how to make oil paint in a traditional way in the Moodle room. So please watch this video after this meeting. The traditional oil paints are made like this by mixing pigment and oil together with the heavy and even bottom tool like this corn she's holding. And many masters of painting in art history love to use oil for their painting as vehicle because it dries slow. So artists can easily revise their painting and available blend colors on the work surface. So let's compare oil with tempera in terms of vehicle. So oil painting and tempera painting looks almost the same, but and they use the same color pigment powder to make a color on their work of art. And they can also paint on wood, canvas, or diverse surface. However, oil is much cheaper than egg yolk of tempera's vehicle, and oil is easy to get compared to the other vehicle. Also, oil paint dries slowly, so it is easy to blend on the work surfaces. So that's why many painters prefer to use oil vehicle for their paintings. And the last painting medium we are going to see is acrylic. Have you ever used the acrylic paint before? No one? No? Okay. So.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay. So how was that?
Very fun. I like it because if it happens to go on your skin, on your floor, on your table, whatever,
Yeah.
it's easily removable.
Yeah, that's right.
And it dries pretty fast. And because I'm usually painting with a kid, it works out better.
Yes, exactly. So acrylic paint is the most recent the paint type. So the enormous developments in chemistry during the early 20th century had an impact in artist studio. So by the 1930s, chemists had learned to make a strong, weatherproof industrial paints using a vehicle of synthetic plastic resins. These new synthetic artist colors are broadly known as acrylics, and the vehicle consists of acrylic resin polymerized through emulsion in water. As acrylic paint dries, the resin particles coalesce to form a tough, flexible, and waterproof film. So here is the most famous feature of the acrylic paint. So acrylic can mimic the effects of oil paint and watercolor by concentration of water. So many contemporary artists use acrylic because it doesn't need a special vehicle to use. They just need the water. It can make oil paint and the watercolor effects by water's concentration. And when you use a small amount of water, then you can make oil paint effect. And when you add enough water in the acrylic paint, then you can use it like watercolor paint. And like this painting, the artist shows oil painting effects on the emphasis part and watercolor effects on the subordination part by using acrylic paint. So that's it for the painting chapter. And we're gonna see next sketchbook project. All right, so this is the third sketchbook project. And I need you to post the work process or idea sketch by tonight to see the process. And you're gonna finish this project by the end of the course. All right. So the third sketchbook project is collage. So, we learned the collage last week, right? So let's remind what it is. So collage is a technique of action creation, primarily used in the visual arts by which art result from an assemblage of different forms, thus creating a new whole. A collage may sometimes include magazine and newspaper clippings, ribbons, paint, bits of colored or handmade papers, portions of other work or text, photographs, and other found objects glued to a piece of paper or canvas. The origin of collage can be traced back hundreds of years, but this technique made a dramatic reappearance in the early 20th century as an art form of novelty. The term collage was coined by both Georges Braque and Pablo Picasso in the beginning of the 20th century when collage became a distinctive part of modern art. Collage is the modernist sense began with Cubist painter Georges Braque and Pablo Picasso. According to some sources, Pablo Picasso was the first to use the collage technique in the oil painting like this. And here is another artist example work of collage in painting. And the wood collage is a type that emerged somewhat later than paper collage. And photo montage. So a photo montage collage made from photographs or parts of photographs is called photo montage. Photo montage is the process and the result of making a composite photograph by cutting and joining a number of other photographs. The composite picture was sometimes photographed so that the final image is converted back into a seamless photographic print. The same method is accomplished today using a image editing software like Photoshop. The technique is referred to by professionals as compositing. And this is Richard Hamilton's photo montage work. And this is another example by Richard Hamilton. So his works are so modernistic with the creative composition. And we can see he seriously considered of the harmony between the photographs pieces. And there is a video about the basic of collage in the sketchbook forum section in Moodle Room. This is a great guide video to make collage art for the beginners. So please watch this video before you begin your work of art. So for this project, you will need sketchbook, magazines, newspapers, old books, copy papers, or any useless papers, or objects, and scissors, glue stick, pencil, eraser, and any color medium you have. And please choose a simple object or a theme and represent it by collage drawing. And as usual, please write a short description about your work of art when you post the process. Collage art takes long time from the collection of the paper pieces to the completion of a work. So you can just upload an idea sketch or planning of your collage art. So now let me share examples with simple themes or objects. So it is a mixed media collage work. So there is a big chunk of watercolor painting. So you can use any piece of your artwork if you want, like this. And we can see the magazine pieces around this face and some sparking material used for this work. And you can depict your favorite animal like this. It is used diverse color papers and a rainbow with magazine papers and a dog. You can mix a hand drawing with the collage drawing. And like this. So, and you can make an abstract image like this. This is one of the excellent example to mix photographs and drawing in a collage work. So if you think it's really hard to get the paper pieces, then you can just use one or two images of the papers, and then you can just fill it with your drawing like this. And you can draw something on your finished collage work to make it creative. And you can do a self-portrait or portrait like this. And there are cute birds and a pair of a heel. Oh, and also you can use text for your collage work like this. It can be meaningful, or it can be just, just for the decoration. Both way will be fine. And tulips and Liberty of a Statue and a girl, man's photo with pop art style drawing, a chicken, and photo montage style collage like this, a cupcake, a cute dog with watercolor background. So, as I said, you can mix any, artwork types for your collage work. And a cup of coffee. And, you can use any useless your note takings for this work. So that's it. As you can see, you can just pick a simple object or a theme, and do not make it complicated. It will take a long time. So let me know if you have any questions about this project. I can't wait to see your diverse collage work from this project. So when you're ready to post your work process or sketch or planning, whatever, you can go straight Sketchbook 6.1 forum, and I need you to post it by tonight. And by tomorrow, I need you to reply to your peers, at least to 2 or more. Any questions?